Hi there, my name's Sarah Jones. I'm a funeral director at Full Circle Funerals.
Hi, my name's David Billington and I'm a funeral director for Full Circle Funerals.
We would describe ourselves as modern funeral directors and we support people from across Yorkshire.
In this video we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a funeral director in an average day in our life. It's something that we get asked a lot.
It has a tendency to now be seen as something that happens behind closed doors, and as a result some people would like to know more about funeral directing and it can be difficult to have your questions answered. Sometimes people want to understand some of the practical aspects of our jobs. Other times it's more about understanding funeral wishes and the different choices involved in funerals, whereas other people seem to have more questions that relate to the emotional labouring part of our job and what it actually feels like to be able to support people at what can be a difficult time. We would meet with a family or friends or group of people who are making arrangements after someone's died. The first thing we would try and do is understand what's important to them, what they know about what they want, what they don't want, whether there are any wishes that the person who has died has left that would be helpful to inform some of the choices.
It might be something that's very traditional and involves going to the crematorium. Everybody might wear kind of black clothes and there may be that traditional format, and that's something that they get a lot of value out of. And for other people it's more about creating something that is a bit more individualized to the person that's died and feeling like they have been able to represent them well in the funeral.
We share information and we try and create a space that lets people consider all of their options and then hopefully make some decisions and some choices that feel right for them. An important part of that is also sharing the costs associated with each option, because that's an important consideration when you're making any kind of decision.
So one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, do we look after people that have died? And the simple answer is yes, we do.
After someone dies, a funeral director would go to the place where the person's died and then bring them into their care. That would generally be at the funeral service.
One of the things that we find really important is making sure that all the care that we give is consented for, and it's not something that we would do without talking to the family about what care we're going to provide for the person that's died.
Some of that involves personal care, so washing someone, dressing someone, changing their clothes, styling their hair, doing their nails. They are things that you would also do to someone while they're still alive. And there's also some things that we do to look after people which are more specific to how you look after someone after they've died. Embalming would be an example of that, which may be something that most of you have heard of.
And sometimes it's about giving the family the choice as well to be involved. A major part of our role as funeral directors is supporting everybody that attends the funeral on the day.
So at that point, hopefully all of the decisions have been made. The people that we're supporting with funeral arrangements feel really comfortable with the choices that they've made, and then what we're doing on the day is we're making sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. That often involves a lot of planning.
Making sure there's a lot of forethought that goes into the details of timings and making sure that all of the professionals involved, so people like the funeral officiants, sometimes known as celebrants, or could be, if it's a religious leader like a minister or a priest, are very well versed in what they are going to be delivering and the timings that we are going to be adhering to for the day. So then when everybody comes to the funeral itself, they don't feel like they have to worry about any of that.
Then on the day itself, there's often also the need to respond when things don't quite go as you thought they would. For example, a roadblock springs up on a route that you have checked out 30 minutes previously, or music doesn't play at the time that it's meant to because technology is great when it works, but sometimes it doesn't quite work. Or it may be that family members initially chose to pallbear, and then when it comes to it at the time, that's something that they find too difficult. And then as a funeral director, you need to step up and you need to act quickly and decisively and calmly and make a decision about what should happen next. it's often helpful at that point because you've supported a family throughout the arrangements process and you've got quite a good understanding of what's important to them. So that helps you then to guide your recommendations and the decisions that you make when you need to make them quite quickly on the day itself. We believe that the more that people know about what's possible and the more information that they have about funerals before they need to make arrangements, the better. People are then more likely to go into funeral arrangements feeling more confident.
We believe the more that people know about the funeral process, the more that they will feel empowered to be able to make decisions for themselves, which are going to be best for them and their family in the future.
So to do this, we try and share content on all of the digital media that are available to us.
Over the past few years, we've been engaged in quite a few different types of research with some local universities across Yorkshire to be able to gain the public's perception on what they feel has been successful for them in the past.
We have a book called Funerals Your Way, which is a self-help book and supports people to understand the funeral decision-making process.
We also spend quite a lot of time putting together blogs and monthly webinars.
We also support people to express their funeral wishes or buy prepaid funeral plans if they want to make arrangements for themselves. We meet with people, try and understand what's important to them, share their options and possibilities, and then help them to work out what they want and the best way to articulate that so that the people arranging their funeral have the information that they need. The other thing that we do is we support people after a funeral. So as funeral directors, of course, we come into contact to a lot of people who have been bereaved, and we have a big awareness of what's available to support people.
Having a talk with the client about areas that they may be struggling with in terms of their grief and different ways that they maybe could engage with other services that could help manage this in a more positive framing.
Our responsibility is to signpost people to organisations and services that they might find helpful. We can share information about things that other people have told us has been helpful, books, podcasts. We can share information about activities that can support with memory making and the development of continuing bonds. What we try and do is make sure that we understand what is important, what the organisations and support services in any given community need, and then do what we can to support that. And that will look very different in different locations depending on the needs and resources of that community.
Because we are connected to lots of different charities and other local organisations, we have identified over the past few years that this has created a network of people that we've been put in touch with. And so we've wanted to create opportunities to start to give back.
So we do what we can in terms of making sure that our services are run as sustainably as possible. If there's anything in the community that's focused on having a positive impact on the environment or minimising negative impact, then we do what we can to support that.
We take our commitment to the environment really seriously, and so we are looking at different ways that we can reduce our carbon footprint and our overall impact by the suppliers that we work with, how we are operating day to day and managing our own waste, as well as the choices that we make personally when it comes to transport, the vehicles that we use, and just living our day-to-day lives. Because if we don't look after the planet, we're not going to get another one.
And we also try and raise awareness about green funerals and green funeral choices, so that if that's important to someone or something, a factor that they would like to take account of when making funeral choices, then they can do so. As with a lot of jobs, the job of a funeral director looks different every single day, and one of the big privileges of our work is that we can support people at what can be a really challenging time and hopefully have a positive impact on the process of arranging the funeral and help them to create something on the day which is helpful, consoling and meaningful. As part of the support that we give people, we constantly see how resilient people are, and it is a real honour.
Being a funeral director Every single day is different. And I feel really privileged to be able to work in this industry and support the people that I come into contact with.
So I hope that you have found this video interesting, and maybe it's put a little bit of a spotlight on some of the things that funeral directors do. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to get in touch. If you're interested in finding out more about working as a funeral director, then please do get in touch, because I think it is a wonderful career, and the more people that we can encourage to find out about it and enter this fabulous profession, the better. Take care.